Mark, there's been a couple of weeks since that day against Celtic where we lost, but ultimately turned out to be a good afternoon. What's the mood in the camp been like since confirming top six?
I think it's been great. I think there's been a bit of relief, but I think also there's been a kind of feeling that they've earned something, that they've earned their place in the top six. What I mean is I think they feel as if they had to work for it, and they did work for it, and I think they're quite pleased with themselves, and I think deservedly so.
Is the big challenge for you now to make sure that the tools are not put away and the deck chairs brought out?
Yeah, that's the adage is that this time of the year, there's a danger that we would think, well, the pressure's off, there's nothing to play for, but I think there's a couple of things going on. One is we want to maintain a tempo and an energy in the team that gets us results, that we can finish the season in a high, and therefore next season we can start on the same tone. We can start knowing that we are competitive, that we are a team that can start with ambitions of the top six if we have a squad going into next season similar, but with the confidence of knowing that we can take on anybody in the division. So taking on the other six teams, five of them, and proving that we can get results against them will be good for the start of the season.
And how do you do that?
Well, first of all, the lads themselves, have a tremendous attitude. I think that we try to convince them as well that we have to maintain the pressure on Celtic and Aberdeen, who, after all, are still competing for the league. That's not over and done with yet. I think that we don't want to be embarrassed. We still have things like, for instance, Louis Moult and Scott McDonald and people like that want to finish the season scoring goals. Louis Moult wants to go over that 20-goal mark, and I think we owe it to him to stay together, to work for him, to try and get him chances, to try and get him over that mark.
From your answer there, can then fans expect that whilst there may be some experimentation during the top six, that there might not be drastic experimentation?
Well, there's not much left to experiment about. We have a smallish group of players. You've got people like, one of the ones you might see at some stage, and I hope to see at some stage with Dom Thomas, somebody like that. But there are others who I want to try and finish the season strongly so that they start next season better. So for instance, Lionel would be one of them. I think Lionel, for his own standards, has had a disappointing season, but we still have an enormous belief in Lionel. So if we could get Lionel into these last 5 games and get him to finish the season in a high, then he maybe can come back with a different perspective next year, and he'll be a valuable player for us next year. So there are still things like that to be played for.
What type of challenge are you expecting from Hearts there? Probably still have one, albeit it might be a distant eye on second place catching Aberdeen, but I'm sure you're not going to expect a team who's going to come here in first gear.
I do expect a team that will come here in first gear, but more the question we've got to ask them is really how well they'll maintain that. So I think they'll come here, they'll be prepared, they'll be up for it. The question will be that if we, for instance, get the first goal, are they as determined as they would have been earlier in the season when they're going for third spot, or seriously chasing Aberdeen for second spot? So, for instance, what happens on Friday night when Aberdeen play St Johnstone will have a bearing on how Hearts might feel. So if Aberdeen win, then Hearts might start to feel that they're getting out of sight. So therefore, if us getting the first goal might undermine Hearts enough that maybe at this stage of the season they won't have enough to come back. But we can't rely on that. They'll be asking the same question as us. If they get the first goal, have we got the desire to fight back, given that we're already in the top six, and that is top six going to be enough for us, or are we really determined to be fourth? From my point of view, I want to be fourth.
Team news for the weekend: I know Stephen Pearson and Louis Lang missed a lot of games, Joe Chalmers as well prior to the split. How are they looking, and anybody else been struggling during this break?
No, Joe is up and running, but Louis Lang and Stephen Pearson aren't quite ready yet, so it'll be unlikely that either of them will make an appearance on Saturday. We'd expect that the Aberdeen game would be the earliest either of those would be out.
Okay, Mark, thank you.